Black Waitress shelters a lost old lady in the rain, then her Korean Mafia boss. Sun walks in and changes everything forever. The rain came down like bullets on Los Angeles, turning the streets into rivers and the sky into solid gray. Inside Ruby's 24-hour diner on Crenshaw, Imani Brooks wiped down the counter for the 100th time that shift, watching water cascade down the windows like tears. It was 2 a.m. on a Tuesday, the dead zone when even the usual insomniacs stayed home, and she was alone except for Earl, the cook, singing off-key in the back. That's when she saw her, the old woman standing outside in the rain, completely still, wearing what looked like an expensive silk robe and house slippers. No coat, no umbrella, just standing there, water streaming down her face, staring at nothing. Jesus Christ, Imani muttered, abandoning her rag and rushing to the door. The cold hit her like a slap as she stepped outside. Ma'am? Ma'am, are you okay? The woman didn't respond, didn't even seem to hear her. Up close, Imani could see she was Korean, maybe 70 years old, with silver hair plastered to her skull and skin so pale it was almost translucent. Her eyes were unfocused, distant, like she was looking at something only she could see. Ma'am, you need to come inside. You're going to freeze out here. Imani gently took the woman's arm, and she came willingly, docile as a child. Inside the diner, under the harsh fluorescent lights, Imani could see the woman was trembling violently, her lips tinged blue. Earl, I need towels and hot coffee. Earl appeared, took one look at the situation, and didn't ask questions. Just grabbed every clean towel from the back and started the coffee brewing. Imani wrapped the old woman in towels, rubbing her arms to generate heat, murmuring soothing words that probably weren't understood but might help anyway. What's your name, honey? Where do you live? Nothing. The woman just stared at Imani with those distant eyes, occasionally shivering so hard her teeth chattered. Okay. Let's just get you warm first. Earl, call 911. She might be hypothermic. No hospitals. The woman's voice was soft, accented but clear. Her hands shot out with surprising strength, gripping Imani's wrist. Please. No hospitals. No police. Ma'am, you were standing in the rain. You're soaking wet. You're not dressed for the weather. I was looking for my garden. I couldn't find it. The woman's eyes suddenly focused on Imani with heartbreaking clarity. I planted roses, white roses, for my husband. But the garden is gone. Everything is gone. Understanding crashed over Imani. She'd seen this before. Her own grandmother before she died, getting confused, wandering off, lost in memories that felt more real than the present. You have Alzheimer's, don't you? Or dementia? I forget things. The woman's grip loosened. Sometimes I don't know where I am, who I am, but I remember the roses, always the roses. Do you remember your address, your phone number? Anyone we can call? The woman shook her head slowly. Your name? Can you tell me your name? Sung Mi Young, I think. Yes, that's right. She said it like she was surprised to remember. My husband is waiting for me. I need to go home. We'll get you home, Mrs. Sung, I promise. But first, let's get you out of these wet clothes. Imani glanced at Earl. Call off the ambulance. I'll handle this. Earl raised an eyebrow. You sure? She needs medical attention. She needs to not be terrified, trust me. Imani had seen how her grandmother reacted to hospitals, the fear, the confusion, the way medical staff treated elderly dementia patients like problems to be managed rather than people to be helped. I've got this. She took Mrs. Sung to the diner's small bathroom, helped her out of the wet robe, expensive silk, Imani noted, with hand-embroidered flowers, and wrapped her in Imani's own spare clothes from her gym bag. Sweatpants and a hoodie that were way too big, but at least they were dry and warm. You're very kind, Mrs. Sung said suddenly, looking at Imani with clear eyes. Like my son, he's kind too, strong, takes care of everyone. What's your son's name? Can we call him? Taiwan. Yes, Kang Taiwan. Mrs. Sung's face lit up. He'll be worried. He's always worried about me. Do you know his phone number? But the clarity was already fading from Mrs. Sung's eyes, replaced by that distant confusion. She shook her head, tears forming. It's okay. We'll find him. Don't worry. Imani got Mrs. Sung settled in the most comfortable booth, wrapped in blankets, with hot soup and coffee. She ate slowly, mechanically, while Imani searched her phone for any Korean community centers, police reports of missing persons, anything that might help identify this woman's family. You know, Mrs. Sung said suddenly, voice clear again, I used to own restaurants. 3 of them. Did all the cooking myself in the beginning. My husband said I made the best kimchi jjigae in Los Angeles. Yeah? What happened to the restaurants? My son has them now. He has everything now. I gave it all to him when I got sick. Didn't want to burden him with taking care of me and the businesses. Her expression turned sad. But I think maybe I am a burden anyway. I see it in his eyes, the worry, the fear. I'm sure he doesn't see you as a burden, Mrs. Sung. You don't know that. You don't know him. But there was no accusation in her voice, just resignation. He's a good son, better than I deserve. He should have his own family by now. Wife, children. But instead, he takes care of his confused old mother, who can't remember her own address. Imani's heart ached. She'd had these exact conversations with her grandmother before she passed. The guilt, the self-awareness that came and went, the terrible knowledge that you were forgetting yourself piece by piece. Mrs. Sung, your son loves you. That's not a burden. That's family. They sat together in the quiet diner, rain still pouring outside, while Imani tried every possible way to track down Kang Tae-won. She called Korean community organizations, left messages with elder care facilities, even tried social media. But at 3 a.m., everything was closed, no one answered, and her searches came up empty. You should go home, Mrs. Sung said suddenly. Your shift must be over. You have your own life. My shift ended an hour ago, but I'm not leaving you alone. Imani squeezed the old woman's hand. We'll figure this out together. Why? Mrs. Sung's eyes were sharp again, focused. You don't know me. I'm just a confused old woman who wandered into your diner. Why do you care? Imani took a breath, memories flooding back. Because when I was 16, my grandmother had dementia. One night she wandered out of our apartment. We found her 6 hours later, 3 miles away, trying to get into a house that used to be hers 30 years ago. She was crying, confused, terrified. Imani's voice caught. The people who lived there had called the police instead of helping her. They treated her like a criminal, like she was dangerous instead of just lost. What happened to her? She died 2 years later, but that night broke something in her. She never fully recovered from the fear and humiliation. Imani met Mrs. Sung's eyes. So when I see someone lost and confused, I help, because I couldn't help my grandmother, but I can help you. Mrs. Sung's eyes filled with tears. You're a good girl. My son would like you. Let's focus on getting you back to your son, okay? They waited together as the rain continued and the night stretched toward dawn. Mrs. Sung drifted in and out of lucidity, sometimes telling stories about her restaurants, her late husband, her childhood in Seoul, sometimes staring at nothing, asking about gardens that existed only in memory. And Imani sat with her through all of it, patient and kind, the way she'd wished someone had been with her grandmother. At 5:47 a.m., the diner door slammed open with enough force to rattle the windows. The man who entered was like a storm given human form, tall, broad-shouldered, in an expensive suit despite the early hour, with features that were sharp and severe, and absolutely striking. His dark eyes swept the diner with predatory intensity, landing on Mrs. Sung, and something in his expression cracked. Iyama! His voice was rough, breaking on the word. He was across the diner in 3 strides, dropping to his knees beside the booth, hands reaching for Mrs. Sung with desperate gentleness. Iyama, thank God, thank God. He said something in rapid Korean, checking her over with shaking hands. Mrs. Sung looked at him with confused eyes. Do I know you? The man's face went pale, but he managed a smile. Yes, Iyama. I'm Taiwan, your son. Remember? He touched her face gently. I've been looking for you all night. I was so scared. Recognition slowly dawned in Mrs. Sung's eyes. Taewon, my baby, you're so tall now. When did you get so tall? A long time ago, Iyama. His voice was thick with emotion. He pulled her into a hug, and Imani saw his shoulders shake with what might have been silent sobs. Over Mrs. Sung's shoulder, his eyes found Imani's. Thank you. Whoever you are, whatever you did, thank you. I just gave her somewhere warm to wait, Imani said softly. She's okay. Cold and confused, but okay. Kang Tae-wan gently released his mother, then stood to face Imani fully. Up close, he was even more impressive. Maybe 35, with the kind of presence that commanded attention without demanding it. But his eyes were red-rimmed with exhaustion and fear, and there was something raw in his expression that made Imani's heart twist. The warning stuck with Imani for the rest of her shift, through her commute home to her small apartment in Inglewood, through the few hours of sleep she managed to catch. What did Kang Tae-wan want? And why did the thought of seeing him again make her pulse quicken with something that felt dangerously like anticipation? Friday came too slowly and too quickly. Imani changed outfits 4 times, finally settling on a simple black dress that was nice without trying too hard. She'd told herself this was just a thank you dinner, nothing more. But her racing heart suggested otherwise. Taiwan arrived exactly at 7, this time in a different car, still expensive but less intimidating, a dark blue BMW. He'd traded his suit for dark slacks and a crisp white shirt, sleeves rolled to his elbows, revealing surprisingly muscular forearms. His eyes lit up when he saw her. "You look beautiful," he said, offering his arm like they were in some old movie. "You clean up nice yourself." Imani took his arm, trying to ignore how solid it felt under her hand. "So where's this restaurant?" "Koreatown, about 20 minutes from here." He opened the car door for her. "How has your week been?" "Long, busy, the usual." Imani settled into the leather seat. "How's your mother?" His expression softened. "Better. She's been talking about you constantly. Wants to know when she can visit your diner again." "She's welcome any time, I meant that." "I know you did. That's, He started the car, pulling into traffic with easy confidence. "That's rare. Most people see my mother's condition and want to get away as fast as possible. They're uncomfortable. They don't know what to say. My grandmother had dementia. I know what it's like. For the patient and the caregiver. It's exhausting and heartbreaking, and there's never enough time or patience or hope." "Yes." The single word carried volumes of emotion. "Exactly yes. Some days I feel like I'm losing her piece by piece. Other days, she's completely herself, and I let myself believe maybe the doctors are wrong. Maybe she'll be okay." "How long has she been diagnosed?" 3 years. It started slow, forgetting names, misplacing things. Now, he gripped the steering wheel tighter. Now she has good days and bad days. The bad days are getting more frequent. "I'm sorry, it's not fair. Not to her, not to you." "Life rarely is." He glanced at her, something vulnerable in his expression. "But tonight is a good night. She knew who I was this morning, made me breakfast, scolded me for working too hard. It felt almost normal. Those moments matter. Hold on to them." "I'm trying." They drove in comfortable silence for a few minutes, and Imani found herself studying him in the dim light of passing street lamps. There was something about Kang Tae-wan that didn't add up. The expensive cars, the security team, the vague references to businesses. Earl's warning echoed in her mind. Dangerous. Wolf in a suit. "Can I ask you something?" Imani said finally. "Anything." "What do you really do? You said you own restaurants, but that's not all of it, is it?" His jaw tightened slightly. "No, it's not." "Are you going to tell me the truth? Or are we going to play this game where we pretend you're just a regular businessman?" A smile tugged at his lips. "You're direct. I like that. I'm a waitress from South Central. I don't have time for games. So level with me, Taewan. Who are you really?" He pulled the car over suddenly, parking on a quiet side street, turned to face her fully. "I'm the head of the Kang family organization, what Americans call the Korean Mafia. I run legitimate businesses, restaurants, real estate, import-export. But I also run protection services, gambling operations, and other enterprises that exist in legal gray areas." Imani's heart hammered. She should have been terrified, should have opened the door and run. Instead, she found herself asking, "Why are you telling me this?" "Because you asked for the truth, and because if we're going to have dinner, if I'm going to see you again, and I very much want to see you again, you deserve to know who you're sitting across from." "I could go to the police." "You could, but you won't." His eyes held hers. "Because you understand that the world isn't black and white, that sometimes good people do bad things for good reasons. Your grandmother probably understood that too. Living in South Central, seeing how the system fails people." "Don't presume to know what my grandmother understood." You're right, I apologize. He looked genuinely contrite. But Imani, I need you to understand. I'm not ashamed of what I do. I protect my community. I provide for families. Yes, some of my methods are illegal, but I sleep okay at night knowing that Korean businesses in my territory are safe, that elderly immigrants have someone looking out for them, that kids have after-school programs and scholarships. You're justifying crime with charity. You found her in the rain? He asked. She was standing outside. I brought her in, got her warm, tried to find your contact information. Mrs. Sung mentioned your name but couldn't remember numbers or addresses. She wandered out while I was in a meeting. My security team has been searching for 6 hours. He ran a hand through his hair, control slipping. 6 hours? She could have been hit by a car, could have frozen, could have... He stopped, jaw clenching. I owe you everything. You don't owe me anything. I'm just glad she's safe. How much? Taewon pulled out his wallet, hands shaking slightly. For your time, your help, name your price. Offense flashed through Imani. I don't want money. I helped because she needed help. That's what decent people do. I didn't mean to insult you. He put the wallet away, looking chagrined. I'm sorry, I don't think clearly when it comes to my mother. Thank you, truly. Behind them, Mrs. Sung had gotten to her feet, looking around the diner with new interest. Is this your restaurant? She asked Imani. It's very clean. Good location. Do you need help? I'm an excellent cook. Iyama, this isn't our restaurant, Taewon said gently, moving back to her side. This is a kind woman's diner. We're going home now, okay? But I like it here. The girl is nice. She didn't treat me like I was stupid. Mrs. Sung's eyes grew sharp. Not like those nurses at the place you want to send me. They talk to me like I'm a child. Pain crossed Taewon's face. Iyama, we've talked about this. The memory care facility has excellent staff. I don't want to go there. I want to stay home. With you. Tears spilled down Mrs. Sung's cheeks. Please don't send me away. I'll try harder to remember, I promise. You're not being sent away. It's just... Taewon looked helplessly at Imani, and she saw the truth in his eyes. He was drowning, trying to take care of his mother while clearly running some kind of demanding business, and failing at both because neither allowed for failure. Iyama, let's not discuss this here. Let's go home. Your mother can come back anytime, Imani said suddenly, surprising herself. If she likes it here, if it makes her feel safe, she's welcome. We open at 6 a.m. every day. Taewon's eyes met hers, gratitude and something deeper flickering in their depths. That's very kind, but I couldn't impose. It's not an imposition. We have regular customers who come in just to talk. Your mother would fit right in. Imani smiled at Mrs. Sung. I'd like the company. Gets boring sometimes during the slow hours. See? Mrs. Sung grabbed Taewon's arm. She wants me here. I won't be a burden. You're not a burden, Taewon and Imani said simultaneously, then looked at each other in surprise. After getting Mrs. Sung settled in Taewon's car, a sleek black Mercedes with tinted windows, and a driver who materialized from nowhere, Taewon turned back to Imani. I need your contact information so I can properly thank you and pay for any expenses you incurred tonight. I told you I don't want payment. Then let me take you to dinner. As a thank you. When she hesitated, he added, Please, it would mean a lot to my mother. She's already talking about you like you're an old friend. Something in his expression, the exhaustion, the vulnerability, the desperate hope, made Imani nod. Okay, dinner, but nowhere fancy. I don't do fancy. A real smile crossed his face, transforming his severe features into something almost boyish. I know a place, casual, best Korean food in LA. My mother's recipes. Your restaurant? One of them. Friday night? I'll pick you up at 7. Imani wrote her number on a napkin, and Taewon took it like it was precious. Friday 7. Don't be late. I'm never late. He glanced back at the car where his mother waited. Thank you again, Miss Brooks, Imani Brooks. Imani? He said her name slowly, like he was tasting it. Beautiful. It means faith, doesn't it? You speak Swahili? I speak 7 languages. Comes with the territory. He didn't elaborate on what territory. Friday, Imani. I'll see you then. He left, and Imani stood in the diner's doorway, watching the Mercedes disappear into the early morning traffic. Earl appeared beside her, drying his hands on his apron. You know who that was, right? Earl asked. Kang Tae-wan. His mother said he owns restaurants. He owns half of Koreatown, and if rumors are true, he doesn't just own restaurants. Earl gave her a significant look. That man is dangerous, Imani. I've heard stories. You should be careful. He's just a worried son who was looking for his mother. Maybe, or maybe he's a wolf in an expensive suit. Earl shrugged. Just saying, be careful. Men like that don't have dinner with waitresses unless they want something. I'm surviving in a world that doesn't care about people like my family. My grandfather came here with nothing, built a restaurant, had it destroyed 3 times by racist gangs. Police did nothing, so he and other Korean immigrants formed their own protection. That's how this started, out of necessity. And now? Now it's bigger than protection. Now it's power and money and all the corruptions that come with both. He ran a hand through his hair. I'm trying to transition everything to legitimate operations. It's why I took over the family businesses. But it's slow, complicated, dangerous. Imani studied him, this beautiful, dangerous man who just laid his truth bare. Why didn't you lie? You could have just told me you're a restaurateur. I would have believed you. Because my mother likes you. And if she's going to visit your diner, if you're going to be part of her life, you need to know what that means. The risks involved. Risks like people coming after me to get to you. It's possible, not likely, I keep my family separated from business, but possible. His expression turned fierce. Though I'd burn anyone to ash who tried to hurt you, the possessive declaration should have frightened her. Instead, heat pooled in Imani's stomach. We just met. You don't even know me. I know you risked yourself for a confused old woman in the rain. I know you're brave and kind and direct. I know you make my mother smile, which is rare these days. He leaned closer. And I know that since Tuesday morning, I haven't been able to stop thinking about you. Tae-won, tell me you haven't thought about me too. Tell me this doesn't feel like something significant. And I'll take you home right now. Thank you for helping my mother and never bother you again. Imani should have said exactly that. Should have protected herself. Instead, the truth tumbled out. I can't tell you that because I have been thinking about you constantly, which is insane because you're a criminal and I'm a waitress and this makes no sense. The best things rarely make sense. Taewon's smile was brilliant. So, still want dinner? Yes. But Taewon, I need you to understand something too. I don't do casual. I don't do games. If we're doing this, whatever this is, you're all in or you're out. I won't be some mistress you visit between business deals. I wouldn't insult you by suggesting otherwise. He cupped her face gently, thumb brushing her cheek. I want to know everything about you, Imani Brooks. Want to hear your stories, your dreams, your fears. Want to introduce you to my mother properly. Want to see where this goes. Even though it's complicated, especially because it's complicated, the simple things never changed anyone's life. He kissed her then, soft and careful and absolutely perfect. And Imani, who'd sworn off men after her last disaster of a relationship, found herself kissing him back with enthusiasm that surprised them both. The restaurant was small and intimate, tucked away on a Koreatown side street with no sign, just a red door. Inside was warm and fragrant, filled with the smells of garlic and gochugaru and something sweet. An elderly Korean man greeted Taewon with a deep bow and rapid Korean, then led them to a private room in the back. This was my parents' first restaurant, Taewon explained as they settled on cushions at a low table. My father died when I was 12. Heart attack. My mother kept this place running while raising me and my sister. It's where I learned that work is honor, that feeding people is sacred. You have a sister? Had, Ji-Yoon. She died 7 years ago. Car accident. Pain flickered across his face. She was going to be a doctor. Brilliant. Kind. Everything good in our family. I'm sorry, that's devastating. It was. Still is. My mother never really recovered. The dementia started not long after. Doctors say there's no connection, but I think grief broke something in her brain that couldn't heal. Imani reached across the table, taking his hand. You've lost so much. So have you. Your grandmother. Your parents weren't around, you said. What happened there? My mother had me at 16, couldn't handle a baby, left me with my grandmother and disappeared. I've seen her maybe 5 times in my whole life. Imani shrugged, old pain resurfacing. My father wasn't even in the picture. Just some guy whose name I don't know. That must have been hard. My grandmother was enough. She loved me fiercely, worked 2 jobs to give me opportunities, made sure I graduated high school, got me enrolled in community college. Imani's voice softened with memory. She died right before I could finish my degree. Heart failure. I had to drop out to pay for the funeral. What were you studying? Social work. Wanted to help kids like me. Kids from broken homes who needed someone to believe in them. She smiled sadly. Instead, I'm slinging coffee at Ruby's. It's not too late. You could go back to school. With what money? I can barely make rent. Imani pulled her hand back, suddenly self-conscious about the differences between them. Sorry, I shouldn't complain about money to someone who probably spends more on a suit than I make in 6 months. Don't apologize for your reality, and for the record, I could help with school. Pay your tuition, cover your expenses. No. The word came out sharper than intended. I'm not some charity case. I don't need rescuing. I wasn't suggesting you did. I was offering to invest in someone with potential. He leaned forward. Imani, I fund scholarships for dozens of kids every year. Why not you? Why not someone who could actually make a difference in people's lives? Because I don't want to owe you. Don't want to be in your debt. You wouldn't be, but I respect your pride. He signaled to a server, and food began arriving. Let's not talk about money. Let's just enjoy the meal. The food was extraordinary, dish after dish of perfectly prepared Korean cuisine. Taiwan explained each one, teaching Imani how to eat them properly, laughing when she struggled with the spicier items. The conversation flowed easily, moving from food to music, to books to dreams. If you could do anything, Taiwan asked, money no object, what would your perfect life look like? Imani thought about it, really thought. I'd have my degree, run a community center for at-risk youth, provide meals, tutoring, mentorship, a safe space where kids could just be kids without worrying about gang violence or poverty or all the shit that makes growing up hard. She smiled, embarrassed by her passion. I know it sounds naive. It sounds beautiful and important. His eyes were warm. You should do it. Right, I'll just manifest $1 million in a building. Or you could let me help, not as charity, as partners. When she started to protest, he held up a hand. Hear me out. I've been looking for legitimate community investments, ways to give back that aren't just throwing money at problems. You have the vision and the passion. I have the resources. We could build something real together. Taiwan, think about it. You don't have to decide now. Just think about it. The rest of dinner passed in a blur of laughter and stories and growing connection. By the time Taiwan drove her home, Imani felt like she'd known him for years instead of days. He walked her to her door, and under the flickering porch light, pulled her close. Can I see you again? He asked. Yes, definitely yes. Tomorrow? I'd like you to have dinner with me and my mother. Properly. Let her get to know the woman who's been occupying my every thought. That's fast. I'm 36 years old. I don't have time to waste on games. I know what I want. His eyes held hers. The question is, do you? Imani took a breath, standing on the edge of something terrifying and exhilarating. I want to find out. He kissed her again, deeper this time, and Imani felt herself falling into something that couldn't possibly end well, but felt too good to resist. Saturday dinner at the Kang family home was nothing like Imani expected. She'd imagined some massive mansion, all intimidating and cold. Instead, Taiwan pulled up to a beautiful but modest 2-story house in a quiet Koreatown neighborhood, with a garden full of roses in front. The white roses, Imani realized, the ones your mother talks about. She planted them for my father after he died, tends them herself on her good days. Taiwan took Imani's hand as they walked to the door. Warning, my mother's in a very good mood today, which means she's going to interrogate you about your intentions toward her son. Shouldn't it be the other way around? You clearly don't know Korean mothers. Mrs. Sung met them at the door, and the transformation from the confused woman in the rain was startling. She was dressed beautifully, hair styled, eyes bright and clear. Imani, you came. She pulled Imani into a hug that smelled like ginger and roses. Come in, come in. I made too much food. Taiwan doesn't eat enough. Maybe you'll help me force feed him. The house was warm and lived in, filled with photos of family and friends, shelves of books in Korean and English, comfortable furniture that invited sitting. Mrs. Sung led them to a dining room where the table was absolutely covered in food. Iyama, this is too much, Taewon protested. Nonsense. We have a guest, a very special guest who saved my life. Mrs. Sung sat Imani down with ceremony, then started serving her with enthusiasm. Eat, eat, you're too thin. All you young people always dieting. Food is love. You have to accept love. They ate family style, passing dishes, sharing stories. Mrs. Sung was sharp and funny, asking Imani about her life with genuine interest. She seemed to remember everything Taiwan had told her about their first meeting, adding her own embellishments. You should have seen him when he came home that morning, Mrs. Sung said, eyes twinkling, like a lovesick teenager. Iyama, I met the most amazing woman. She charged into danger to save you. She's beautiful and brave and kind. On and on. Iyama. Taewon's ears turned red. That's not exactly, it's exactly what you said. Don't lie in front of your future wife. Imani choked on her tea. Future wife? Of course. Why else would Taewon bring you home to meet me? He's never brought a woman home before. You must be special. Mrs. Sung patted Imani's hand. I know my son. He doesn't do casual. When he cares completely. It's both his greatest strength and his greatest weakness. Yama, you're embarrassing her. And me. Good. You should be embarrassed. You're 36 and still not married. I want grandchildren before I forget what grandchildren are. The comment was said lightly, but pain flickered across Mrs. Sung's face. The knowledge of her condition, the fear of what she was losing. Taiwan reached over, squeezing her hand. You're not going to forget, Iyama. I won't let you. You can't stop this, my son. As much as you want to control everything, you can't control this. She turned to Imani. He thinks he can fix everything, protect everyone. But some things can't be fixed. They can only be accepted. After dinner, Mrs. Sung insisted on showing Imani the garden. They walked among the white roses while Taiwan cleaned up inside. In the twilight, Mrs. Sung's expression turned serious. I need to tell you something, she said quietly. About my son, about what he does. He told me, about the family business. Did he tell you why? Why he took over when he could have walked away? When Imani shook her head, Mrs. Sung continued. After Ji-eun died, after my daughter was killed by a drunk driver who got 6 months in jail because he had money and lawyers, Taiwan changed. He realized the legal system doesn't protect people like us. So he decided to become the protection. That's a lot of weight for one person to carry. Too much weight. He's drowning in responsibility and duty, and he won't admit it because he thinks he has to be strong for everyone. Mrs. Sung gripped Imani's hands. But you make him smile. Really smile. I haven't seen that in years. Whatever this is between you, don't let him push you away when things get hard. He'll try. He always tries to protect people by keeping them at a distance. Mrs. Sung, we just met. This might not be. I know my son, and I see the way he looks at you. Like you're the answer to a question he's been asking his whole life. Her eyes were fierce despite her condition. Promise me you'll give him a real chance. Promise me you won't run when you see the darkness in his world. I promise I'll try. Mrs. Sung smiled, then her expression shifted, confusion clouding her eyes. I'm sorry, dear. Do you know where the bathroom is? I seem to have forgotten. The shift was heartbreaking, from clarity to confusion in seconds. Imani gently guided her back inside, where Taiwan saw immediately what had happened. He took over with practiced ease, patient and kind as he helped his mother remember where she was, who they were. Later, after Mrs. Sung had gone to bed, Taiwan drove Imani home in heavy silence. I'm sorry you had to see that, he said finally. Don't apologize. I understand what it's like. Some days I think I can't do this anymore. Can't watch her disappear piece by piece. Can't handle one more moment of her not knowing who I am. His voice cracked. Then I feel guilty for being selfish, for thinking about my pain when she's the one actually suffering. Imani reached over, taking his hand. You're allowed to feel overwhelmed. You're allowed to be tired. That doesn't make you selfish. I have to put her in memory care soon. The wandering is getting worse. What if next time nobody helps her? What if next time she ends up hurt or worse? So you keep her safe. That's what love looks like sometimes. Doing the hard thing because it's right, even when it breaks your heart. He pulled over again, seemed to be a habit of his, stopping when emotions got too big for driving, turned to face her with raw vulnerability in his eyes. Come with me when I tour facilities. Help me choose the right place. I trust your judgment. Taiwan, that's huge. That's family level involvement. We've been on 2 dates. I know, but my mother loves you already. And he cupped her face gently. I'm falling for you, Imani. Faster than makes sense. Deeper than is wise. And I want you there for the big things, because I think you might be the biggest thing that's ever happened to me. Terror and exhilaration warred in Imani's chest. This was too fast, too intense, too everything. But when she looked in his eyes, she saw something real, something worth the risk. Okay, I'll help you find a place for your mother. But Taiwan, you need to understand. I'm not going anywhere. Whatever happens, whatever we face, I'm choosing to stay. So stop trying to protect me from your life. I don't deserve you. Probably not. But you've got me anyway. They kissed in his car like teenagers, and Imani felt herself falling impossibly, irrevocably in love with this beautiful, burdened, dangerous man who'd crashed into her life over his lost mother. The next 3 months were a blur of intensity. Imani and Taiwan fell into each other completely. Dates several times a week, long phone calls, texts that turned into essays. He introduced her to his world gradually, carefully. The restaurants first, then the real estate holdings, then finally the shadow operations he was working to make legitimate. Imani visited Mrs. Sung often, sometimes with Taiwan, sometimes alone. They'd sit in the garden, Mrs. Sung teaching her about roses on good days, Imani reading to her on bad ones. The old woman became like family, filling a grandmother-shaped hole in Imani's heart. Together, she and Taiwan toured memory care facilities. Imani helped evaluate them with her social work background, looking past the marketing to see how staff actually treated residents. They finally found one that felt right, small, with Korean-speaking staff, where residents were treated with dignity even on their worst days. Moving Mrs. Sung in was agonizing. She had a good day, which made it worse. She understood what was happening, why it was necessary, but that didn't make it hurt less. You're not abandoning me, she asked Taiwan, tears streaming down her face. Never. I'll visit every day. Imani will visit too. You're not alone, Yama. You'll never be alone. Promise me something, Mrs. Sung said, gripping both their hands. Promise me you'll take care of each other. Promise me you'll build a life together. I want to know you're happy before I forget what happiness is. Yama, promise me, Taiwan. I promise. I love her, Yama. I'm going to marry her. The declaration hung in the air. Imani's heart stopped. They hadn't discussed marriage, hadn't even said I love you yet. But Taiwan met her eyes over his mother's head, and she saw the truth there. He meant it. Every word. Good, Mrs. Sung said, smiling through tears. That's good. Don't wait too long. I want to remember the wedding. That night, after getting Mrs. Sung settled, after crying in his car, after driving back to his house in silence, Taiwan pulled Imani into his arms and held on like she was the only solid thing in a shifting world. I meant it, he whispered into her hair. What I said to my mother. I love you. I want to marry you. I know it's fast. I know it's crazy, but I've never been more certain of anything. Taiwan, you don't have to say it back. You don't have to decide anything right now. I just needed you to know, needed to say it out loud. Imani pulled back, looking up at him. I love you too. It terrifies me, and it doesn't make sense. And I definitely don't understand how this happened so fast. But I love you. The kiss was different this time. Not desperate or exploratory, but sure. A promise. A claiming. They made love in his bed, slow and intense, learning each other completely. And afterward, tangled together, Taiwan whispered, Move in with me. That's fast. I'm 36. You're 32. We're not kids. Why waste time pretending this isn't serious? My apartment, keep it if you want. As a backup, as storage, whatever. But live here, with me. Wake up next to me every morning. Let me make you breakfast. Build a life together. Imani thought about her tiny studio, the loneliness of coming home to empty rooms. Thought about waking up next to Taiwan, being part of his daily life. Okay, yes, let's do it. His smile could have powered the entire city. Moving in was easy. Imani didn't have much. Her grandmother's quilts, some books, clothes. Taiwan cleared space in his closet, made room on shelves, integrated her things into his home until it became theirs. He cooked Korean food and learned to make her grandmother's recipes. She learned basic Korean and attended business dinners where she charmed his associates without trying. Life fell into a rhythm. Imani kept working at Ruby's, liked the normalcy, the connection to her old life, but started taking online classes toward finishing her degree. Taiwan funded it despite her protests, arguing it was an investment in their community center dream. They visited Mrs. Sung daily, weathering her good days and bad with shared strength. But paradise never lasts in dangerous worlds. The attack came on a Tuesday. Imani was closing Ruby's alone. Earl had left early. The cook was already gone. When three men walked in. Chinese, she thought, not Korean. Wrong energy, wrong vibe. "We're closed," she said, hand reaching for her phone. "We're not here for food." The leader, scar running down his face, smiled without warmth. "We're here to send a message to Kang Taiwan. Tell him the Sun Yeon Triad doesn't appreciate him expanding into our territory." Terror spiked through Imani. "I don't know what you're talking about. Don't play stupid. You're his woman, living in his house, visiting his mother. That makes you leverage." They moved fast. Imani grabbed the coffee pot, throwing scalding liquid at the nearest attacker. He screamed and she ran for the back door. Almost made it, but hands grabbed her hair, yanking her back. Pain exploded across her face as someone hit her. "That's for the coffee, bitch." She fought, scratched, kicked, bit. But there were three of them and one of her. They were dragging her toward the door when the diner windows exploded inward. Taiwan came through the broken glass like an avenging angel, gun in hand, face twisted with fury. The violence was brutal and efficient. 2 shots, 2 bodies dropping. The third man grabbed Imani, knife to her throat. "Back off or she dies." Taiwan froze, eyes locked on Imani's. She saw calculation there, cold assessment of angles and possibilities. Then his expression shifted to something almost gentle. "You won't kill her. Try me. If you kill her, I'll make you watch while I murder everyone you've ever loved. Parents, siblings, children. I'll burn your entire bloodline to ash. But if you let her go right now, you get to run. 5-second head start before I put a bullet in your spine. Your choice." The man's hand trembled. Imani felt the knife bite into her skin, warm blood trickling down her neck. Then the pressure released, and he was running, crashing out the back door. Taiwan let him get 3 steps before firing. The body dropped. Then Taiwan was there, pulling Imani into his arms, hands frantically checking her over. "Are you hurt? Did they? Christ, you're bleeding." I'm okay. But she was shaking violently, adrenaline crashing. "How did you know?" "Security cameras, I have them on all your regular locations. When I saw them come in, His voice broke. "Imani, if I'd been even a minute later..." "But you weren't. I'm okay. We're okay." They weren't okay. Not really. The attack changed everything. Taiwan went to war. The Sun Yi. On Triad had crossed an unforgivable line, and he responded with overwhelming force. Imani didn't ask for details, but she saw the results. Tension in his shoulders, blood on his clothes he thought she didn't notice. The way he checked the locks 3 times before bed. "I can't live like this," Imani said one night, 2 weeks after the attack. "Constantly afraid, looking over my shoulder, wondering when the next threat will come." Taewon's face went pale. "You're leaving." "What?" "No, I'm saying we need to change something. Your promise to your mother about transitioning to legitimate business, we need to accelerate that. Because I love you, but I won't raise children in a world where they're targets because of what their father does." Children, the word hung between them. They'd never discussed it explicitly, but the implication was clear. This was long-term, forever. Marriage and family and all the complicated, beautiful mess that came with it. "You want children? With me?" Taewon's voice was barely a whisper. "Eventually, yes, but not until this world is safer. Not until you can promise me that our kids won't be leverage for your enemies." He pulled her close, burying his face in her hair. "Then I'll make it safer, whatever it takes. I'll get out, go completely legitimate, make peace with every organization that might threaten us. I'll do it all. For you. For our future. Promise. I promise." It took 8 months. 8 months of brutal negotiations, strategic partnerships, and careful maneuvering. Taiwan sold off or transferred every illegal operation, keeping only the restaurants, real estate, and import businesses. He brokered peace treaties with rival organizations, using a combination of diplomacy and strategic intimidation. Some of his old allies felt betrayed. Some of his enemies thought he was weak. But Taiwan didn't care. He was building something new, a legitimate empire that honored his grandfather's original vision without the violence that had corrupted it. Through it all, Imani was by his side. She finished her degree online, graduated with honors, worked with Taiwan on plans for the community center that was now a real project with funding and timelines, visited Mrs. Sung, whose condition had deteriorated, but who still had moments of perfect clarity where she'd smile at Imani and call her daughter. On a Saturday morning in June, Taiwan woke Imani early. Get dressed, something casual. We're going somewhere. Where? You'll see. He drove them to South Central, to a street Imani knew well, had walked down hundreds of times growing up. And there, on a corner lot that had been vacant for years, stood a building. New construction, nearly finished, with a sign out front. Brooks Kang Community Center. Imani's hands flew to her mouth. You didn't. I did. Well, we did. It's in both our names. Fully funded for the first 10 years. Ready to open next month if you approve the final designs. He led her inside and Imani saw her dream made real. A commercial kitchen for cooking classes, computer labs, tutoring spaces, a gym, offices for counselors and social workers, everything she'd ever imagined and more. In what would be the main community room, Taiwan turned to face her, dropped to one knee, pulled out a ring that caught the morning light, a sapphire surrounded by diamonds, the color of her grandmother's favorite dress. Imani Brooks, you charged into my life through a rainstorm and changed everything. You saved my mother. You saved me. You made me believe I could be more than my father's legacy, more than the violence and darkness I was born into. His voice was thick with emotion. Will you marry me? Build this center together, raise children together, grow old together? Say yes. Imani was crying too hard to speak. She nodded frantically, then managed, Yes, yes, you impossible, wonderful man. Yes. He slipped the ring on her finger, then stood and kissed her with all the passion and promise of their future. Outside, the South Central morning woke up around them. Car horns, voices, the pulse of a neighborhood that would soon have a safe space for its children. Their space, their dream. The wedding was 6 months later, small and intimate. Mrs. Sung was there, having one of her best days in months. She cried through the ceremony, clutching the hand of her nurse, whispering, My son is happy. Finally, my boy is happy. They were married in the community center's main room, surrounded by the people they'd helped, kids from their programs, families they'd supported, friends from both their worlds. Imani wore her grandmother's pearls and a dress the color of roses. Taiwan wore a traditional Korean hanbok under his suit jacket, honoring both their cultures. You make me believe in second chances, Taiwan said in his vows, in the possibility that broken things can be made whole. You're my light in every darkness, my home in every storm. I promise to love you with everything I am, for as long as I breathe. You make me believe that love doesn't have to make sense to be real, Imani responded, that sometimes the most unlikely partnerships create the most beautiful futures. I promise to stand by you in every challenge, celebrate with you in every victory, and build with you the life we both deserve. They kissed as husband and wife, and the room erupted in cheers. Mrs. Sung stood, raising her glass with shaking hands. To my son and his beautiful wife, may you have many years, many children, and may you never forget that love is the only thing that matters. It was the last time she'd speak so clearly. Within a month, Mrs. Sung's condition would deteriorate rapidly, but that day at their wedding, she was present and whole and radiating joy, and Imani would hold that memory forever. The image of Taiwan's mother, surrounded by white roses from her garden, blessing the unlikely union that had saved them all. 3 years later, Imani stood in the community center's garden. They'd added one filled with white roses and sunflowers, watching her daughter toddle after butterflies. Jiun Sung Kang, named for Taiwan's sister, had her father's eyes and her mother's smile and enough personality for 3 children. There you are, Taiwan appeared, carrying their second daughter, 6-month-old Maya Imani Kang, named for her maternal grandmother's favorite singer. Jiun, come here, lunchtime. Their oldest ran to him, chattering in a mix of English and Korean about the butterflies and flowers and all the wonders of her 3-year-old world. Taiwan scooped her up with one arm, balancing both daughters with the ease of practice. "Your mother called," he told Imani. "She's having a good morning, wants to see the girls." They visited Mrs. Sung every day, even though she rarely knew who they were anymore. But sometimes when she held the babies, clarity would flicker in her eyes. She'd smile and whisper, "Grandchildren, my grandchildren." And in those moments, everything they'd fought for felt worth it. "I need to tell you something," Taiwan said as they walked to the car. "I got an offer today. A big development company wants to buy the community center, expand it into a whole network across LA. We'd maintain control, but they'd provide unlimited funding." "What did you tell them?" "That I'd discuss it with my wife and partner." He shifted Maya to his other arm. "Because we built this together. It's not my decision alone." Imani looked back at the building that had started as a dream in a diner conversation. Now it served 300 kids a week, provided meals, tutoring, mentorship, hope, and there were so many more children who needed the same. "Let's do it. Let's expand. Change as many lives as we can." "You're sure? It'll be a lot of work." "We've handled harder things. We can handle this." She took his hand. "Besides, I like building things with you. It's kind of our thing." They loaded the girls into the car, a sensible SUV now, so different from the sleek Mercedes he'd driven when they first met. Drove to the memory care facility where Mrs. Sung spent her days lost in gardens that existed only in her mind. But when they placed baby Maya in her arms, something in Mrs. Sung's face softened. "Beautiful," she whispered. "So beautiful. Like roses." "She's your granddaughter, Iyama," Taiwan said gently. "Maya. And this is Ji-eun." He placed their oldest beside his mother. "Your grandchildren." "Grandchildren." Mrs. Sung repeated the word like a prayer, then surprisingly looked directly at Imani. "You're the girl from the rain, the one who helped me." "Yes, I'm Imani, your daughter-in-law. You made my son smile again, gave him a future when he'd stopped believing in futures." Tears rolled down Mrs. Sung's cheeks. "Thank you. Thank you for loving him when he needed it most." "He saved me too," Imani whispered. "We saved each other." They sat together in Mrs. Sung's room, Taiwan, Imani, and their daughters, while the old woman held the babies and sang Korean lullabies she remembered from decades ago. And Imani thought about that rainy night 4 years ago, about a confused old woman standing in the storm, about the choice to help instead of ignoring. One act of kindness had changed everything, had brought her a husband who loved her fiercely, daughters who filled her days with joy, a purpose that gave her life meaning, a family that had formed in the most unlikely way. "What are you thinking about?" Taiwan asked softly, watching his mother doze off with Maya still in her arms. "That I almost walked past her that night. Almost ignored her because I was tired and wanted to go home. How different everything would be if I had. But you didn't, because you're you, because helping people is who you are at your core. And you came looking for her. Desperate and terrified and vulnerable in a way that let me see the real you underneath the Mafia boss exterior." "Fate," Taewon said. "Has to be fate. How else do you explain it? My mother wandering into your diner, out of all the places in